Welcome back, swingers!
Oh my god, why did you do that?
Because it was funny.
I disagree.
You're laughing.
Sure. Sure. Anyways, welcome back, swingers, to another exciting episode of Tire Swing Gaming. And today we're continuing off where we left off playing Legend of Zelda Batwa, and I was not paying attention, so I don't really know what happened yet in the last episode, other than Ghost Santa just died, but he bequeathed us the glider.
About damn time.
Yeah. So I'm Logan, I'm the one not playing the game.
And I'm Seth, and I'm the one sitting here in a chair.
He's playing the game as well, by the way.
Yeah, I can do both. Also...
Yeah, he's good like that.
Real fart.
Why would you do that?
It was
no one's gonna subscribe to our channel when they hear that, Seth.
That's fine. It's real fart.
Real fart to hide fake tears?
Yes. Now, you were talking about Joker last episode,
yes.
and you were going very long-winded on this.
Yes.
So this may be a 2 or 3-parter.
Yeah, so we're gonna continue. This is part 2 of episode 1 of Logan Takes a Dump on Your Favorite Things. Last time I was talking about how the protesters in Joker, after Joker murdered 3 people in cold blood, decide to don the clown mask just because Thomas Wayne called everybody clowns. And at this point,
and you know
right now in the real world is June 9th. We're in the protests over the killing of George Floyd are still going on. And it's a big deal. And I bring that up because it's relevant to the protests that happen in movie. Because you would hope that this movie that's supposed to be realistic and a little dark would parallel what happens in the real world.
And it just doesn't.
Protesters protesting problems with society do not celebrate murder and death. Yeah, there are, in the George Floyd protests, there are a very small portion of the protesters, rioters and looters, but they're not celebrating death. They're not out to kill anyone. Nobody is out to, none of the protesters are out to kill anyone. And most importantly, the vast majority of the protesters are against the any amount of violence. And we can talk about that in another episode of Logan Ruins Your Favorite Things, and that
Logan ruins white supremacy.
Or Logan takes a dump on the idea that America's not a police state. We'll get into that eventually. And fair warning,
we're very unapologetic.
We're very unapologetic. We're also liberals. And so, yeah, some of you guys might hear some things you don't want to hear. And if that's the case...
You're not a moral person.
That's not what I was going to say.
That's what you were going to think.
If you don't want to hear us talk about politics and have different ideologies than you, that is your prerogative, and you do not have to watch that episode. We will probably put up some...
disclaimer or something.
Well, we'll say it's about to happen when we start talking about it.
Yeah.
It could easily be several months before we talk about this, though.
We won't do you dirty like that. Not really.
Yeah. But, so, the point being, though, the protests that turn into riots in the Joker very much do not parallel the real world. And, again, protesters, they aren't going to celebrate murder like that. They might not be upset that those 3 guys were murdered, but that's never gonna be the face of the protest, and that's almost what ends up becoming like what they latch onto in the in Joker. They latch onto it needing to happen more almost, and that is not how the real world works.
Yeah, because not everybody's a psychopath.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people out there, but, like, they're weird.
Yeah. So Joker, at this point, his mom's in the hospital. I don't remember why. And the cops kind of are asking him if he's the one who killed those 3 guys. And he says no, and the cops take him at his word, more or less.
Because he blows them off.
He blows the cops off later. And so they don't take him in or anything, even though...
They should have.
Even though they know the clown who did it wore the same makeup as Arthur Fleck, and that makeup's trademarked. Apparently. Because that's how clowns work, apparently. And so... There's strong reason to believe... To at least bring Arthur in for questioning. And not give him a choice about it. And they don't do that. And so instead, Arthur goes, and he confronts his mom in the hospital, and then he confronts Wayne in the bathroom of a theater while there's protests going on outside. And Wayne kind of, again, assuming Joker's being a reliable narrator here, is a little bit of a dick, but super reasonably, seeing as his kid was just assaulted by this man, who's clearly unhinged. But here's the thing Wayne continues to not do. He continues to not call the cops. For some reason. He's a rich white man who is dealing with a not rich white man, and he's choosing not to call the cops, and it's not out of the goodness of his heart either, and it's not for publicity either, you know. It's not like he's trying to not get bad press. He could easily keep this covered up while still calling the cops. He just seemingly doesn't call the cops for no reason.
We'll call this a lapse in judgment.
A very bad lapse in judgment after this guy has assaulted your son and now is being a little unhinged towards you in a public bathroom. First, the first problem, is Arthur Fleck decides to talk to another man in the bathroom. You don't do that. You don't do that.
Man's got his dick out. You don't do that.
You don't talk to another man when he's got his penis in his hand.
It's not good manners.
It's not good manners. It's like you do that when you're trying to really flex on them and put them in a disadvantaged state. And that's not what Arthur was trying to do. He just was trying to get answers in the most dumb way possible. So Thomas Wayne tells him, Arthur, that he's not his father. He is not the daddy, and that his mom was cray-cray.
Massive cray-cray.
And so Arthur goes to the old mental hospital to get the records to prove that Thomas Wayne is his father. And he gets the records, but the orderly won't actually give them to him, so he steals them. And here's another point where nobody calls the cops on him. This is the third time nobody calls the cops on him when they definitely should. Arguably the fourth, because his boss knew he had a gun and that he was not supposed to have. So that's at least 3 or 4 times now that nobody chose to call the cops on him, which is really weird to me. And so now Arthur has the paternity test essentially, and it shows that Thomas Wayne is not his father. And that pisses off Arthur really badly.
For some reason.
Yeah, because for some reason he thinks his mom lied to him or something. Even though his mom never told him that Thomas was his father, he only found that out from reading his mother's letters. Which seems fair, right? And so he goes to the hospital and talks to his mother, and at this point, without really much thought, just decides to suffocate her. He puts the pillow over her head and he
starts to strangle her.
He puts her down. You know, he takes the old Yeller out back.
Shoots her right in the back of the head.
Yep. And
it doesn't really make much sense. why did he decide to do that? Just because he felt like he was lied to? That's not a particularly good reason.
Yeah, especially when he realistically was. But again, it's the Joker, and he's an unreliable narrator, so sure. But we'll get to my disappointment over that. We'll get to my disappointment over 3 of Joker's killings pretty quickly. I'm gonna get through all 3 of them, and or his 3 of the 4 final killings before we get to that. And then, well before this, of course, Maury's made fun of him, and we'll get to Maury in a minute. But then he goes to his apartment, and Midget and CC Chunky Clown show up, and they are like, "Hey, Arthur, how's it going? The police were over here. They were asking questions about you. And, we didn't say anything, because, we got your back. But we just wanted to make sure, you're good and you don't need anything." Or something along those lines. And Arthur kills Chunky Clown. And kind of messes with Midget Clown a little bit, but is like, "But you've always been nice to me, so you get to live." Which is...
That's not how that works.
And that's where I'm gonna get to, when I talk about this vengeful Joker.
Because,
I'll get to that. And so he lets Midget Clown live, who proceeds to not call the cops again. So this is the 5th or 6th time that Arthur had not called had the cops called on him, and this time for murder in his own apartment. Also, it seems no one called the cops for the untimely death of Arthur's mother, who there would be some evidence of strangulation.
Because he never took the pillow off her face, did he?
I don't think he did, and even if he didn't, there's ways to tell someone died of asphyxiation versus whatever they were in the hospital for.
Yeah, because they turn a color that suggests a lack of oxygen.
Well, it's not just that. There's other signs, better signs than changing color, you racist.
I mean, that was a bad joke.
Anyways, so Arthur, having still not had the cops called on him, decides to go do his show with Maury. Because it's what he's always dreamed of, apparently. And so he goes there. On the way there, he meets the cops. And the cops ask him to stop and come in for questioning. And so he runs instead. And then the cops manage to not catch him. Even though they should have, put in a little bit more effort into catching him. Seeing as there's a corpse in his apartment. His mom has now been murdered.
And then they boof it too, because they shoot somebody standing by, don't they?
I don't remember. I really don't remember.
Because they get hospitalized in the train chase scene.
Wait, what are you talking about?
When Arthur's running from the cops, these bumbling idiots, he runs onto a train, and I think the officers end up shooting some rando.
Oh yeah, they did. Because the randos were pissed that the officers were trying to arrest Arthur. Even though there's no signs of police brutality in this universe. Now, in our universe where there is lots of police brutality, I can understand, protesters being displeased about cops chasing someone on the subway. But that's not in the Arthur Fleck universe.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be the case, because they have no reason to think that they were brutalizing this man.
Yeah, they were literally asking the protesters to get out of their way because this man needed to be arrested. And so instead of doing that, a bystander ends up getting shot because, not even on purpose, right?
Yeah, no, it was an accident.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really excuse it, but
Yeah. But I think then the protesters start to I think they. I don't know if it's ever stated, but I think it's somewhat implied that the protesters potentially beat one of the cops to death.
It announces on the news that they were hospitalized.
Oh, okay. And so Arthur goes on to his show with Maury, and none of the other officers in the entire precinct bother to try and do anything about him. Which is fair, you know, there's protests and riots in the street, they got a job to do. Not saying that they're great at their job, but that's what they're supposed to do.
We're just winning so many people over right now.
I don't think we're winning. I don't think we've won a single person over yet.
Not a single. Not one.
I think Roy wants to leave the room, so.
Well, he's gonna have to ask like a real adult.
Okay, fantastic. So, Arthur then goes on Maury, where he sits there, and this is the Oscar-winning scene, according to whatever dude I watched on YouTube. And the dude's like, yeah, it's just so interesting how, you know, Arthur Fleck has... It's like the opposite of Heath Ledger, where Heath Ledger's in control the entire time. Arthur Fleck never has control. But on the same coin, like, how Arthur Fleck gets control back is super good and whatever. And I'm just sitting there watching apparently a different movie because Arthur had no control over himself whatsoever or of the
situation.
Yeah. And so he gets irrationally angry for a while. Seth, I think if you just land on...
No, this is actually how you do it.
Okay, well you...
I missed.
Okay. So, Arthur Fleck, you know, has the interview, and he admits that he killed the guys. And Maury's reasonably like,
Can we show this?
This is not, that's not acceptable behavior, you know, murder is not cool. And Arthur's like, I think murder is, you have a 3 strong Seth.
Where?
The axe on the left.
I kinda, you know, I don't need that.
Yeah. And Arthur's like, I think murder is really cool and funny. And then, so the rest of the scene plays out of Arthur struggling with controlling himself to the point where he decides, what's up those other set of stairs?
What?
Right there.
Oh, that's the way back.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Arthur ends up deciding to pop a cap in Maury, as the kids say these days. And so the entire scene is him seemingly struggling with the decision of what he's about to do. You know, he's struggling with deciding on whether he's going to kill Maury or not, I think. Now, the guy I watched on YouTube said he thought that Arthur was struggling with deciding of whether he was going to kill himself or not, which I don't remember ever thinking Arthur was going to kill himself in that scene. Did you think that?
No, he was thinking about it before, but he made up his mind well in advance that he wasn't going to do it anymore.
Yeah, and then he decided to kill Maury. And again, in the entire scene, he seems to be struggling with that decision to actually go through and do it. Which is weird after he's already killed 5 people with no remorse and no hesitation in killing any of them, it seems. And he even said he thought it was funny when he killed 3 of them. But this 6th guy, oh man, I'm struggling with this decision, and this is where my transformation occurs, where I wasn't the Joker before this scene, and now I'm the Joker after this scene. And so, like...
That understandably doesn't make much sense.
It does not. It does not add up. The whole point of the movie was, once he gets, I would have thought once he gets the taste for blood, he struggles with his decision for the next couple, but by the end of the movie, he's already set. But no, instead, the first ones are easy, and so are the next ones, but it's that last one that he has difficulty with, and that doesn't add up. And now we're gonna get into the last those three murders. His mother, the chonky clown. He's not really that chonky, but we're gonna keep calling him that anyways.
It's fun.
It's fun. And Maury. He kills all three of them. And he does something that DC's Joker normally isn't about. He kills them for revenge. Not because he thinks it's funny, but because he wants them dead. And that's not really what the Joker is supposed to be about. He does things... He does things because they're funny to him for the most part. That's not like his only motivation, don't get me wrong, and it's not necessarily his main motivation.
His main motivation really is to see Batman break.
Yeah. But he also... He doesn't go out of his... He doesn't kill specifically for revenge, ever. He'll kill for other reasons, and revenge might be one of them, but he doesn't kill just for revenge. Is this the suicide dude?
No.
No, isn't this the guy where if you climb up on the ledge, he'll ask you to come down?
No.
Oh. Okay. Well, I was wrong. I thought there was somebody like that. Climb up on the ledge anyways. Hey, see, I told you! It's like my eyes.
My eyes.
Took you a minute there, buddy.
Lick my taint.
Nah, I'm good. Maybe next time.
It tastes like peanuts.
It's the crunchiest.
Thanks, Sokka.
I got you. So, Joker doesn't kill for vengeance, but for some reason...
This one do.
This one do. And that's just kind of...
It doesn't sit well.
It doesn't sit well. And the rest of the movie after that doesn't sit well either. These guys, I guess, found out he killed Maury in the time they were protesting and rioting. They somehow, I guess, found out he killed Maury. Because after they hit him with a car, they seemingly celebrate him, but that could just be, again, Arthur Fleck being a bad narrator, an unreliable narrator. But who knows? That's a boulder. It's not just a boulder.
It's a rock.
It's a rock. So, Arthur gets hit by a car. He gets arrested. The protesters break him out. Somehow, they figure out which police car he's in. Don't burn that specific one to the ground. And rescue him so they can all worship him, according to our unreliable narrator. And he still ends up going to jail anyways.
Understandably, he murdered 6 people.
Yeah. And in the process of these protests, a man, I assume named Joe Chill, kills Batman's parents in an alley. Let me rephrase that. Kills Bruce's parents, Martha and Thomas Wayne, in an alley. And we see that. And here's a fun little dichotomy. Because normally, it's Batman who causes Joker to fall in the vat of acid, creating Joker. And in this movie, they decide to try and change it up and have Joker inadvertently get Bruce Wayne's parents killed. And here's my problem with that. That doesn't change that doesn't necessarily change the dichotomy of their relationship in a bad way. But the fact is they totally screwed it up anyways because of the fact that Bruce Wayne's parents were killed in the riots. Because
then you can't even really blame Joker for that.
Well, no, here's the thing. This means that Joker is in his 20s or 30s by the time when Batman's 8. That means Joker, by the time Batman starts being Batman, he's like somewhere between 40 and 50. Which is, this is assuming that, this does end up leading into a Batman. Because, we don't necessarily know that's going to be the case.
This was kind of supposed to be a one-off, maybe?
Yeah. And, it's supposed to be a bit more realistic, so maybe there are no superheroes in this movie. Why did you throw it that way?
Don't really know.
But, so, Joker... Batman's parents get killed during the riot. Now, Batman's normal motivation is his parents were killed by a guy in an alley, a criminal in an alley, and he wants to prevent that from happening to someone else. Essentially, you know, it's a bit more nuanced than that, of course, but that's the gist of it. But by having
some rando do
no,
it.
it's not just some rando. Joe Chill was always kind of a rando. But by having it happen during the riots caused by Joker, the fact is, if Batman doesn't recognize that, you know, it happened because of the riots, like, it happening because of the riots doesn't play into Batman's narrative anymore. Because if he doesn't address that, it kind of screws up the story. And therefore, if he doesn't address, therefore he would also have to address that those riots are at least partially related to the Joker. Which kind of just ends up making what is normally a pretty easy and understandable story a lot more awkward and confusing. And if you go into the, you know, if you follow this whole thing into a Joker Batman dichotomy eventually, the motivations for Batman become either they're the same and therefore it's not good because they should be different now, or they are legitimately different because of the somewhat different circumstances of the death of Batman's parents, and the whole thing becomes more complicated and a lot harder to work with. And then at the end of the movie, we see Joker's savage murder, which really solidifies the fact that he's a bad narrator because he kills a psychiatrist
While being chained to a table.
While being chained to a table with no weapons, and somehow there's a lot of blood left over.
And somehow he also gets out.
And somehow he gets out.
And we're not led to believe that this is a smart Joker.
Yeah, we're not led to believe this is a charismatic or manipulative Joker like any of the other ones.
Because, like, Heath Ledger's Joker is... There's a theory out there that he's actually the hero of that story because he ends up doing what Batman couldn't, and he gets rid of crime in Gotham by defunding the Mafia completely, getting rid of all of their money, creating a scapegoat in Batman, and getting the Dent Act made.
So I think you gotta blow the other way.
Ah. There we go. This is dumb, and I hate this.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a long episode, but we might cut it. Dimitri might cut this up into 2 in post or something, but he'll figure it out. But, so, what was I gonna say?
Something about how this Joker's not good.
No, I was, obviously, but, Batman, Heath Ledger. I don't remember what I was gonna say. Do you have anything to add?
Well, no, I did my little piece on this.
Okay.
Because, like, it's true. You can actually see Heath Ledger's Joker as one of 2 ways, where you can only see...
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I'll let you finish.
Where you can only really see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker one way.
I honestly don't think trying to see Heath Ledger's Joker as a hero is the right way to do it.
It's not, but he's a tactical genius, no matter which way you look at it.
That is true. And now I'm gonna go... I remember what I was gonna say. So people liked the Joker, and I think I know why. Not because it was a good movie, but people have... I don't want to say been tricked, but we've gotten into the situation where we think if there's space for fan theories, or there's a lot of details in the movie, or piece of media, that makes it good.
Star Wars Episode 8.
No, most people don't think that's good. But
Some people did.
Let me put it like so I think part of that is because, you know, the internet has allowed us to make speculation about movies and stuff quite a bit more. And you know, I probably started with Inception and a couple other movies that like previously that had big plot twists like Sixth Sense or Fight Club. And I think people have started to somewhat falsely equate leaving things vague in a movie with the movie being
good.
And having, you know, leaving hints as well, to small hints that can help support some of those ideas. But the problem with that is
Joker didn't do it well.
Well, its vague hints were for both directions, and that's bad, first of all. And it just didn't come together well. The narrative doesn't... There's no way to make the narrative add up and make sense, which is fine because it's a Joker movie, I guess. But even then, like... Because Joker self-admittedly can't even remember his own
backstory.
Origin. But even then, like... You're not questioning his story when he's telling it in The Killing Joke. You're aware that it's not the exact truth, but you are also aware that you understand that it doesn't need to be the exact truth. The premise of the idea is what matters, not the exact instances that happen. And in the Joker movie, it almost comes off as the exact set of a sequence of events is what matters. And the exact sequence of events falls apart under scrutiny because of the fact that there's a bad narrator.
Whereas in The Killing Joke, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, what matters is Joker had a bad day, and then he fell into a vat of acid. Okay, well I think...
I was snacky.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to land on that platform.
Well, I was, and then I just didn't.
Okay. Well, we're running a bit long on this episode, so just whenever you want to cut it.
You know, I think that was good, and I'm just going to stop right here.
Okay.